Hello, and welcome to the restart of, I guess, what is this, the third time we've done this?
The third time we've restarted it, or the third time that we've
Attempted.
to restart it?
No, just to start it in general.
It's some number.
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 times. This time I actually have a plan, so hopefully this will go way better than any other time. But today we're gonna be talking about basically just what it is that started each one of us off on games, and just general games that had a strong impact on us. And so today, I'm joined by Taylor and Scott. Say hello.
Hello? I'll go first, I guess.
Please send help. We're the only ones left from the original podcast. He disposed of everyone else. Please, we're hiding in the.
Blink twice if you
Hello.
need help.
It's fine. I replaced him with a robot. It's good.
Yes.
Nobody will ever know the difference.
Probably not. Not these days.
Yeah, well, that's how the cookie crumbles. I started saying things that my manager says, and I hate it. You know when you get like
Why
speech.
does he-
Huh?
Yeah, why does he quote Bruce Almighty?
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
It's just like I don't know when
that's
you
always where I remember that phrase from.
whenever you spend enough time around another person, you just start to pick up phrases from them. That's just one of those situations that it's just like I guess I picked that up from him. Hate it. But they say that and like it is what it is. That's another big one I've been saying a lot more recently. We're not here to talk about that.
SOCKS.
Socks.
Yes. SOCKS, it means it is what it is.
Oh,
In
I
Spanish.
thought you were trying to spell something.
No,
Oh.
hashtag socks.
Let's get it trending, guys.
Hashtag socks. Go blow up the Twitter webs.
We've already gotten derailed this early. It's been like 3 minutes.
It's all right.
I think derailing is fine. I think if we weren't getting derailed, it'd be more of a concern.
This is
Like-
not this is not a railway line I would like to be on. Derailing is fine.
It's okay. The
It's the
engineers,
journey, not the destination.
yeah. Oh man, that actually is a really shitty segue into like one game that actually did have a huge impact on me. But
Okay,
I
well-
think we'll get to that later, honestly. But
Was it Journey?
it's Journey. It's a great game.
I love Journey.
We'll talk. We can talk about that in a bit. But I think what we'll start out with is like everyone's like where it was that you truly started to understand or like really enjoy video games. So I guess we can start with Taylor, since I can imagine
no.
like I already feel like Scott. Don't
here
know.
We go.
I don't know what Scott's is, but I feel like there's just I know the passion that's going to be behind Scott's. I don't know
It's
anything
gonna be
about yours.
something dumb.
Sure, why not?
You might be surprised.
I just feel like he'll have like a lot of like enthusiasm behind it, regardless.
Oh, okay. So we're.
But Taylor, feel free to go ahead.
Okay. Well, I let's see, when did I start? Well, I started playing games fairly early on, maybe when I was like started playing them myself when I was like maybe like 5 or 6. Because my mom was always really into big into like Nintendo games and stuff. And so we got a PS1 when I was little for like Christmas. And I always remember like, one of the first games I ever played was like either Mega Man X3 or X4. And
Oh man, just like
those were just right in there. Those are not for children to
no,
play.
they're not.
They're fucking hard.
That was what
Also,
I was.
they're not a good time. Yeah, and I always remember playing with my mom because try I would try to beat the levels, and then when I got to the boss fights, she would usually take over for me because the stupid web spider, whatever that dude's name was, kicked my ass so many times.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of where I started. The Mega Man games always hold a really uh, big part of my heart. I messed up that phrase. a dear place in my heart.
They
That's
have the they have the biggest dick in my heart.
not in my heart.
It's probably not a good place
Uh,
for one of those to be.
yeah, I always remember. Mega Man's always been a big part of my childhood,
It's
growing
like
up and playing games.
I just think it's funny. It's like you said. That's just it's not a kid's game. Like
Yeah, I think that might have been the point where I like why I'm always drawn to like really punishingly difficult games, because it's like, oh, I'm just gonna play this really challenging platformer when I first start playing.
the ones that like kick you in the dick and don't apologize for it.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, suck it up, fucker.
Thus beginning my long-standing masochistic tendencies. Yeah,
Go.
Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all these indie games that pop up and are like, we're really difficult, and I'm like, I'll see about that.
Well, gonna make sure you don't have a good time, but then kind of do, but then don't, because it's us.
This is painful and it's making me angry, but I kind of like it like that.
If I wasn't slightly upset, I wouldn't be having fun.
Of course. Yeah, I don't know. Don't really have like a big complicated beginning to gaming. It's just my mom wanted to share something that she did a lot, and she still does.
Well, I guess
It's kind of weird having your mother as a friend on Steam, but
yes, I can imagine.
yeah, Dying Light's one of her favorite games. She plays it all the time.
The fact that you said that, I guess we'll jump into mine too, since mine was a very similar instance, because I remember, I don't know how, but my dad, I don't know what led up to it. I just know that, at one point, excuse me, somebody brought, my dad brought a Super Nintendo home, the original SNES, which at that point, I'm already aging myself, but like, I was born in '94, and by that point, the Nintendo had been out for a while at that point, right?
Yeah.
It was like, because when did the SNES come out?
I feel like I should know this, but
Yeah, somebody can look it up in a second. They'll tell me before.
Let's see, 1991 in the United States.
Yeah,
North
so
America at least.
I mean, you're thinking I was born in '94. I probably didn't start playing until I was like 4 or 5, probably. So I mean, shit, that was an old system I was playing, which again probably started, like you said, started my whole love for like vintage gaming systems and stuff. Like I collect that shit. I think I have about everything Nintendo's ever brought out at this point. I'm missing a Virtual Boy, which still makes me sad because I want one of those. I don't care if it's a piece of shit, I want it. But yeah, I remember he brought that out, and then like you said, me and my dad would play Super Mario World all the time, because that's what I remember is that, I would play for a while and I'd hand the controller to him and he'd play it, and that was kind of, we would do it back and forth like that for a little while. And I guess from there we just started getting more and more systems. I can still remember, I want to say it's my first PG-13, or not PG-13, what is it, teen game? PG-13 game. My first teen game was, I want to say I got it when I was like 10, maybe, and it was Jak and Daxter 2. Because I played the original Jak and Daxter, loved the shit out of it, and then I got that one. I had to I remember convincing my parents to buy it. I think I even looked up the rating in like the fucking newspaper or something, which sounds so like old and stupid now, but it was just what was happening at the time. I guess newspapers had the games out on them, like listed in there.
Yeah,
because it wasn't necessarily pre-internet, but it was before the internet became as big as it is.
Mm-hmm.
You can still find shit, but like not a whole lot of super useful shit. Yeah, so it started with me and my dad playing stuff like that, and then I remember for quite some time my dad and I played it, and now he hates the fact that I play games, and I think it's hilarious. I'm like, this is your fault. You did this to me.
Why couldn't you just make me play soccer instead?
Oh, I did. I played soccer, I played basketball, I wrestled, I played football.
When you realize you hate those things, they shouldn't give you any alternatives.
When I was like, fuck you, parents. How dare you? But yeah, so I mean, I guess it's a very similar thing of me learning it because of my folks or my dad more specifically. And I think it was kind of the same. Like I think we played games together until I was probably like 13 or so. And I think that was the point when he stopped playing as much games. Just funny, because I actually talked to him about it recently, like just saying something about games. He was like, one of the main reasons I don't do it is because I know my personality and I would never want to stop. And I'm like, fair enough, actually. You just stopped that shit before it even had a chance to like bloom. So that's fair. I understand that. Um, yeah, I guess now, Scott, what is your situation with this?
Oh, well, here we go.
Oh,
God,
Lord.
Scott, why are you always gonna make it weird?
Okay, I'll unweird it. So, no, to my knowledge,
It's too
the
late.
first game I ever played was Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance. I remember because I used to have to hand it off with my brother, and I didn't know any of the characters back then. Like the first character I ever played was Toad, but I thought it was pronounced Todd
What?
at the time. So I was like, I like Todd.
That's me.
But I had that thing for a long time. I have like 20 worm lights. I have an extensive collection of things designed to solve the issue of it not being backlit. But yeah, I pretty much exclusively played Nintendo games for most of my childhood and a lot of my like adolescent life. I don't know. I played tons of Mario games, loved Paper Mario, um, all that good stuff. Never got into Zelda or anything, but uh, I was super into Mario. Um, I played some weird stuff, like just some random like Flash games on the internet as well.
Oh
But
yeah, I think we all did.
I think we all had that Newgrounds phase,
Well,
probably.
we were basically raised in the age of Newgrounds. Like
Um,
I still say we weren't necessarily pre YouTube, but like we were pretty
well,
close.
we were. The YouTube was 2007, I think, and I barely remember life before YouTube, but I vaguely remember. I remember when like Google was kind of a new thing. Like it wasn't super new, but like it wasn't new to the world of tech, but it was new to like schools. Schools were like, "All right, everyone, we're gonna use this newfangled Google.com thing." Um,
And now
but
your teacher said like, please be careful using Google.com, and you're like, don't tell me what to do.
yeah, so
Did you
the
know that
first
Wikipedia is untrustworthy because it can be edited by anyone?
I've only been
That
told
was the
that.
argument that literally every
it's
like
almost,
librarian in school would tell you.
It's also what my
it's like,
professors in college say. They're
Yeah,
like,
well, yes.
don't
the
use
thing I never
Wikipedia.
understood about that is Wikipedia it cites their sources,
See,
and
and
you can
that's
like
I
go
can
read the sources.
I can tell you that if I was a professor at any point in my life and I was like do a research paper, I would be like, don't use Wikipedia as like a primary source. But if you want to find some better sources, go to Wikipedia and go to the sources part of things, and you can find some good shit in there.
Or
Yeah.
just take the information from Wikipedia and then credit those sources if you're lazy. But anyway, so
Yeah.
the first time I ever played a non Nintendo game, again as I can remember, was actually when Reese introduced me to the Orange Box and Portal
Oh
and Half
hell
Life
yeah!
Two. So Half Life Two or Portal was the first FPS I ever played. Um, I could not grasp the concept, and this was back before PC gaming was really a big thing. So I couldn't grasp the concept
Okay,
of using two like sticks. Well, okay, well, before it was like something that everyone did. It was like PC gaming back then was like Bitcoin mining was 2 years ago, but it was like it was a very established thing, but they're only like the elite did it.
and it's like
Um,
I would say only the elite really like it was like a almost a secret society of where like
right.
if you
Yeah.
didn't know anything about it, you wouldn't do it. I mean, like because I mean I know I know people who are talking about basically playing games on the PC in like the 90s and like
Right.
just
I mean,
talking about
and
that
so
experience.
point being, back then that was like, if you said, "Oh yeah, I like to play such and such game," everyone's initial reaction is it's on the Xbox. Uh, so anyway, but I couldn't understand the concept of using two joysticks to like play a game. Um, and so I was like, how can anyone do this? This just is impossible.
I
Quite
remember
a
this
quite a
conversation.
quite a twist of fate. Um, considering
That you're
everything.
like, how does anybody use a mouse and keyboard? I'm only going to use a controller.
No, that's not what I say.
I know.
I say, how do people not get carpal tunnel from using a keyboard? Mouse, there's nothing wrong with the mouse.
I mean, the problem is people do.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, yeah, so I did that, and then I started getting into a wider array of genres. Eventually, branched out to different types of stuff, multiplayer nonsense. Started playing with you guys in high school, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
That was kind of how I had my start.
yeah, I feel like the Orange Box games was probably a pretty major part of all of us
Yeah.
at least getting into PC games, because I remember getting that. I think it was for PlayStation 3 originally when I got it, because I was a Sony kid as opposed to you Nintendo fanatics.
Oh, look, I have
Yeah.
I have one of every modern day system right now. I can't really call myself
Oh, yeah.
a fanatic of anything.
Well, yeah. I mean, you branch out, but originally, and because of how the console wars always worked, you had your line, and that was usually
Fair.
PlayStation and Wii when we had family over. Then we wanted to play like a party game or something.
I was always a PlayStation boy in that like sense. Like if we're talking specifically, like I that's the thing. I never considered Nintendo part of the console wars. I basically was like, you have Xbox and you have Nintendo, and then or not Xbox, sorry, Xbox and then Sony or Microsoft and Sony.
Oh, yeah.
Then over in the corner you have the Nintendo, which is fun by itself, but like whatever.
Well, yeah. Well, it's because PlayStation and Xbox do the same thing, basically. They're
Yeah.
two versions of a very similar technology, with your occasional exclusive one that you need to get, like Bloodborne. I'm glad I picked Sony as my big one when that came out.
Yeah, I have my $300 Bloodborne machine right now because I don't play
Yeah.
anything else on
But
it.
then of course Nintendo does its own unique thing that you can't really get elsewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah,
With-
on the Orange Box, I find it funny that Scott's big thing was Portal, and it's very indicative of his character. My big thing was Team Fortress 2 on the Orange Box.
Right,
Played-
Raymond
Played for
and I.
hours on PlayStation 3, and I was like, this is silly and lame. And then I got a PC, and Team Fortress 2 was like one of the first things I played on that.
So I guess that would be your move into PC gaming, specifically.
Yeah,
the
it was
Orange
definitely
Box.
Team Fortress.
What about you, Scott?
Oh, move into PC. Minecraft.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say.
Probably.
I remember Rush was in my class, my theater class, when I was a sophomore, I think. And he was like, "Hey, have you heard about this one game?" And I was like, no, what is it?" And he was like, "Well," he kind of explained it to me, and I was like, "Oh, cool." I was like, "How do you play it?" He was like, "Well, it's on the computer." Like, okay, cool. So we had, I think, like one family laptop at the time. So I borrowed the laptop to play it. So then the laptop eventually moved into me getting my own laptop. Then I was like, well, this laptop is garbage, and it's not helping me do the things that I want to. So for my senior project, I was like, this seems like a great time for me to use some bullshit excuse for me to build my own computer. So I did.
Mm-hmm.
As you do.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I mean, I say Team Fortress 2 was the big thing that got me into PC gaming, but like, I mean, I definitely played computer games previously, but that was mostly when I was really little and played things like fucking Freddy Fish or Pajama Sam
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Don't fucking put off Pajama Sam and Freddy Fish. It's just like,
no, I'm not saying anything bad about Pajama Sam. Pajama Sam, no need to hide when it's dark outside. was my shit as a kid.
Like, no lie, good enough that I almost bought them on Steam again. Actually, no, I played the game again recently. Went through start to finish. Not that it was hard, but
yeah, I would not go that far because they are literal games for children.
That's fine. I played the shit out of that. Actually, that
also
might
another thing that I continue.
I was just gonna say that might have been one of the more like powerful games to me. Was specifically Pajama Sam, Thunder and Lightning Aren't So Frightening.
Mm-hmm.
One of my reasons that I love point and click games at this point.
Yeah, and I also, you guys mentioned Minecraft. A big thing that I played when I was a kid on PC, like before Team Fortress 2 and everything, when I was like really little, was a game called Blockland. And I don't know if either of you heard of that, but it was basically like a Lego simulator.
Yes.
It was like a freeware Lego simulator.
Was it like was there like a movie set or something?
I mean, it was like originally it was like a freeware game, and eventually there was a retail release, and it's on Steam now, and it's really different than how it was originally because they had to shave off all the Lego stuff to actually sell it. Oh. But yeah, there were like a lot of different levels and stuff, and it was also my big like intro into modding and stuff because a lot of the like levels and stuff were made by people just, you know, adding stuff onto the game. And a lot of my introduction into like internet social life, I guess, was based on Blockland. It's also where my like username comes from, Saurus, because I joined like a server based on like Star Wars and stuff, and the dude who was running it, like the people who were playing Sith, I was all about that, and he was like, "You shall be Darth Saurus," and that name just stuck.
Wow, that
man, mine seems like lame in comparison to yours. Mine was I remember because I used to be I was really close friends with Sam at the time, and he was obsessed with Homestar Runner, and and we watched I watched a ton of Homestar Runner with him because I guess I kind of got obsessed with it too at the time, and so the two of us would watch Homestar Runner, and as like when we were watching it, there was a character called the Cheat, which was like a little yellow dude, and the Cheat at one point in one of the videos, it was like one of the shitty ones that like Strong Bad put together that was like all like MS painted and stuff. And at one point, or I guess the Cheat put it together, but it was Strong Bad's music video. But at one point, he has like his like graffitied name on the wall, and it was CH8T, which was supposed to be for the Cheat. And then
that's the Cheat.
And yeah, well, yeah. I think they were like trying to make it sound kind of lead speak, but not exactly, I guess. So they did that, and then I picked up on it because of that. And then at another point, I was like, I think I had forgotten my like username or password or something, and being a stupid kid, I didn't try to just recover it. I was like, fuck, I'll just make a new new name. And I was like, since CHAT is already taken, why don't I add something to it? Let's add man. I was like, nah, man sounds stupid. Let's reverse man and add extra letters. And that's how Chait Nami happened.
I see.
What a visionary.
Yeah, it was dumb. I'm a fucking stupid kid. I was a stupid kid. But it stuck. I've used it since because it's just, I don't know.
We all have, apparently.
And Scott, I assume yours is about a time you attacked a lemon with a spoon, and it was a very formative moment of your life.
That's correct. No, it's probably, well, it was the first email address I ever created, which is still my primary email address.
Wow.
And don't swear if anyone sends me email. But
no, I'm certainly going to.
I think back then, well, I was like really into Drake and Josh as a kid, and so like they had a lot of reoccurring jokes with the word citrus and spoons, and actually that kind of just was a thing in all of Dan Schneider's work. Spoons were always like a recurring visual gag, I guess.
I mean, spoons are, I'm pretty sure, scientifically proven to be the funniest of eating implements.
Right.
It's like knife is like the lowest, and then fork is somewhere in between. And you have spoon, and then spork is probably the funniest, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say spork wins.
until they make a fife, which is a fork knife.
Oh yeah, I think they have that. I think I saw one once.
I'm pretty sure it's not called a fife because that's another thing.
I've seen
But
I've seen a spork
no,
with like knife parts.
This was back in a time when, again, dating everything. This is back when I needed an email. Oh, get this. I needed an email because I wanted to sign up. I wanted to be a moderator on this Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door like guide website or something. Like it was a website entirely dedicated to the Thousand Year Door, and I wanted to be a moderator on it. And so I didn't want to use my parents' email. And this was like we used Charter Internet, and I was under the impression we had to like call Charter and like purchase an email address, which wasn't too uncommon back then. But then like my babysitter's dad came over and was like, hey, have you heard of Gmail? And I was like, what? It's free. And so yeah, I just did that.
I like how I currently have like 2 emails, and those 2 emails, or I guess technically 3 because I have a school email too. But I've got like my main actual email, and then I have my Yahoo email, which is my throwaway email of like, this is where I send the junk that I don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
It's like if I have to sign up for something that's going to send me a billion things, I'm just going to sign up with it with my Yahoo account.
Yeah, I know my when we stopped using Charter, we had to phase out my Charter email address, and that's always really frustrating. Moving an email address that you no longer have access to.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure my Minecraft stuff is associated with that email, and I don't know how to recover that without just buying the game again.
Oh shit, that sounds awful.
No skin off my back, because that means I'll never be tempted to play Minecraft again.
Yeah, it's kind of lost its charm a little bit.
I would also like to confirm that knife fork combinations do exist. They are known as Norks.
Nork.
You know,
that sounds
I found one on Amazon.
That's like the shitty name of like some like 80s cartoon character.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, shit, what time was Jabberwock? Or Jabberjaw, sorry. Jabberjaw.
I was say Jabberwock, that's the poem?
Jabberwock, the Jabberwocky? Yeah, no.
Jabberjaw. I never watched that.
Like I said, it was weird. All I remember is nyuk, 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 because that's the fucking sound he made.
Mm-hmm.
That, and I remember, what was it? What's his name? Punch Buggy? Dune Buggy?
I don't remember his name, but I do remember the show you're talking about of that weird talking Dune Buggy.
Because it was basically like, there was Scooby-Doo, which was the popular and well-remembered one, and then there were the 2 other shows that copied the exact dynamic of them, where it was like, you had some cutesy mascot, some stoner dude who was an idiot who was his best friend, and then a gang of people who were actually competent. And that was like the setup for all of it. Because I remember there was like Punch Buggy or whatever the hell his name was, and he would always sit there and go, and he like stutter his way through everything because engines or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was Jabberjaw, which I don't know. He's a big fucking shark who is afraid of everything, and I'm like, you're a fucking land shark. Stop being afraid of everything.
No, he's out of his element. He's a fish out of water, as it were.
But he can breathe.
Yeah, he's literally a fish out of water.
How do we get to this? What happened?
I don't know. You started talking about fucking Jabberjaw.
You said something there. Whatever.
Email addresses.
Sure, why not?
Nork? Maybe it was
you said Nork.
You
said Nork. That's what got me
also,
on that tangent.
If I send something over Discord, will it make it sound and disrupt everything?
No, I have it in streamer mode, so.
Okay. Okay, because I found a Nork on Amazon, and it showed these things as being frequently bought together.
Stop it.
And that tea knife looks like a torture device.
It is a torture device. I don't care what anybody says. So yeah, I guess at this point, like, we've already talked about a few games that I guess had a pretty big impact on us. I think what like one of the so I'll start off by saying, so I think the orange box is definitely one game that brought the three of us and more people together, for sure. Because I remember the orange box is something big that Raymond and I, who were already friends at the time, we kind of bonded over that in like middle school. And so like I had a huge love for that beforehand. Um Aside from that though, I think once you guys kind of got into it and once I started talking to you guys more regularly, that kind of became our like common ground. Same thing with Minecraft, I feel.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead 2 was another big one.
Oh yeah, because we got our stupid shit on YouTube, which is
It was
mostly just me screaming.
Yeah, it's mostly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Most things are you screaming.
Actually, I've gotten better. I've realized over the years.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot better, actually.
But I wish everyone we knew would do that.
I don't know, improved and grown as a human being or some shit. It's amazing how that happens.
Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I have
You
some.
don't scream as much when you play video games.
I still scream in real life. It's fine. But I think that was a big one for all of us. I think those were like, I think one of the big reasons I wanted to talk about this specifically was because I wanted to look at games as more than just games, but as kind of experiences. Because I think, you know, I've been talking to Haley a lot about my like love for games recently, and I think when I first said something about liking video games, she understood, but didn't fully understand, if that makes sense. Like, there was that comprehension of it, but it wasn't like the understanding of why I get so attached and why I get so involved. And so,
I mean,
like,
that's kind of the thing that a lot of people have. Like people understand the appeal of video games, but they don't really see them as like an art form in the same way that like a book or a movie or a painting would be, because it's like you just think about it in like terms of just playing other games. It's like, oh, I like playing Monopoly. I can see why you like to why you like this game so much.
and I think like one of the big games for me, and this is like just a more recent thing I can think of, is one of the most hated games in the Legend of Zelda series, Skyward Sword, is one of my all-time favorite Legend of Zelda games ever. And I will even say at this point, I like it more than I like Breath of the Wild. I think Breath of the Wild is an absolutely fantastic game and does something great. But as you know from talking to me at any point, I struggle with games that aren't linear sometimes, and I can't focus in that game. I want to do everything in it, but I'm too ADD to do to do everything in it. I get too distracted, something else happens. I do have, but I choose not to spend countless hours on that game like some people do. And while it drew me in, it didn't draw me in the same way it did some other people. But Skyward Sword, on the other hand, that game is just beautiful. It's got so much of like, if you ever played any other Legend of Zelda game before, like, you know, there's kind of the implied like relationship between Link and Zelda, but it's never really explored. It's just kind of, you know, Zelda's a princess, Link is the hero of time, the hero of whatever. He's the one who's sent to save her every single time. But it's not always a case of like, you know, you saved me, you get my hand in marriage kind of thing. It's more of like a thanks for saving me, awesome, great, Hyrule's saved again, cool, whatever. But in Skyward Sword, you and Zelda start out as friends, and really close friends at that. So it's this adorable thing that you get to watch two characters grow up together. You get to watch them kind of be this thing, so that the moment that Zelda's taken, you're like, oh shit, this is a big fucking deal. And then Link goes on his, gets into his hero journey and goes on this whole adventure to just save somebody who he cares about so deeply. He basically leaves the only thing he's ever known to exist as a world, where he thinks that these Sky Islands are like the only thing that's ever existed, to dive down to an Earth that he didn't even know was there. I just think something about that is just one of the most incredible things. There's even a moment in Skyward Sword that had me in fucking tears. Because what?
I said, oh gosh.
There's there's a part where it's like Zelda's getting like frozen or something, and it's like after she's found out that she's like the rebirth of the goddess or something like that, and she's like basically being frozen in time, and she looks at Link and just puts her hand on this thing that she's being frozen in and goes, "Don't worry, I'm still your Zelda," and I just started crying because that was just a beautiful moment of these two characters just finally showing just this compassion and this like care and all this childhood together just comes to this moment of being I'm still your Zelda, and I was like, this is just the moment for me. So yeah, I feel like in that situation it goes from being less of a like, you know, here's just this story about two people to where it actually becomes something deeper. Link goes through some bullshit. Link goes through a lot of bullshit. Imp is a bitch to him. All this shit happens. Imp is a bitch to him. But all this shit happens, and then he's just like, he puts up with it. He keeps going because he wants to help his friend, then finds out that he's part of a bigger destiny, and ends up saving the world because of it. I don't know, it's just beautiful. A beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if either...
The whole time for some reason when you were talking about that, I was like, my brain started, I was like, Skyward Sword shares a lot of similarities with Final Fantasy 13.
Oh,
And then by the end of it, I was like, you know what? There weren't enough similarities to actually make a point out of this. So I will retract now.
yeah, you made a point out of it anyways. You just did it.
Yeah.
I
But
hope you're proud of yourself, Scott.
because I was like, they kind of do a similar, there's a similar thing to where like they leave the world that they always knew to the one that, they were unsure of and stuff. And then I was like, yeah, but in Final Fantasy 13, the motivations for doing so weren't necessarily as good as the ones from that.
Did either of you have just I guess a specific example you could think of right now that kind of had that like power to it, that like just
Power.
I mean, there's been a lot of things that I've played that have done that. I think the biggest one, well, it's not necessarily one specific game. It's just at some point I was introduced to essentially like visual novel genre of games, both literal visual novels and just the style of games, so stuff like Ace Attorney and of course Danganronpa and all of our assorted things like that.
and I was gonna
there's a period.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there was a period in high school where I dedicated like 4 hours a night to playing visual novels, and that I kind of like saw that it was a medium that is like more than just a book, but then less than a game, but it somehow can accomplish things that can only be accomplished in its medium. And so then I started playing Ace Attorney from there, and just stuff like that. And those games, they always really just, they're interesting because stuff like Ace Attorney and Danganronpa, they don't like. There's not like a difficulty curve in terms of game mechanics necessarily. They introduce new ones and stuff, but it's not like when you sit down to play it, you go into it knowing that you're probably not going to get stuck at something for more than a few minutes. And if you are stuck at something, it's like a knowledge based or like a
Yeah.
logic based stuckness, not like a man, this boss is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Which to say, sometimes that is fair, but there are other times that it's just horseshit. Because Danganronpa has not had as many issues with it as the Ace Attorney series is. Ace Attorney, I have been stuck in certain parts and I'm like, how do I do this? And you have to think in the exact way that the developer was thinking. You can't just...
And of course, in the defense of Ace Attorney, it is from the year 2001.
That's true.
So it's much older than Danganronpa, but no, you're right. Like I love Ace Attorney, but there are a lot of moments especially in the investigations where I'm like, oh god, do I need to investigate this plate on the floor? Like, what's going on?
You say that, and I'm reminded of playing Danganronpa last night and screaming because it wouldn't let me like investigate one part of things, and it was like, no, that's not important in the case. And I'm like, no, but it is. Just let me touch it. And they're like, no, and I'm like, please, just let me touch it.
There are a few times like that.
But I think that this is like another good example of like a different kind of experience. It's not like me gushing about a game and just loving the fact that it's like it has a community behind it. I think that's a big thing about like Ace Attorney and Danganronpa specifically, is because I can jump in the call with you and Raymond and be like, "Oh yeah, this person, what a fucking bitch," and you're like, "Oh yeah, so you hated them too," or like, "Oh well, they're actually not that bad," and then we can have this discussion based off of either mutual hate or like just kind of a disagreement. I think that's something that's powerful behind games too, is that, you know, me saying that just reminded me of like, you know, the new Star Wars has just gotten just ungodly amounts of hate, but also love, and we're in a very weird spot of I never expected the fucking Star Wars series to be so decisive? Is that the right word? Divisive. Oh yeah.
Decisive is quite the opposite.
I never expected it to be so divisive. Like, I just never expected something, you know, people grow up on to be this, like, all right, let's fucking start stupid internet fights about it.
Well, see, that's kind of the thing, is like, because it's so heavily attached to everyone's childhoods, that's kind of why arguing over it is so intense, because people don't seem to realize that as revolutionary as Star Wars was, it wasn't exactly a brilliant bit of storytelling. You know, it's not. It mostly gets away with a lot of stuff because it was the original, or the originals, if you're just going to go with the whole original trilogy. But
don't get me wrong, like, I still thought the new episodes were great. Just
yeah. But yeah, it's like the original Star Wars. Star Wars has never exactly been like fucking War and Peace in terms of. I don't know why that was the first thing that came to mind, but it's not a fucking complicated, brilliant narrative.
Yeah. But like that's the thing. Like, going back to like the whole Ace Attorney thing, is like that's the thing I really like about certain games, is that like a community comes together and really like you build on each other. You let people know, you know, you get into the thing of like, I think Scott, you were incredibly helpful in Danganronpa, because you were like, oh, by the way, in the first game, make friends with this one person because their perk's really good. It's not spoiling anything for me, and it's not saying anything of like, it's not like, you know, I mean, it's not a spoiler because it's Danganronpa, because the whole point of it is people die in the game. So it's like, you don't tell me, well, this person's gonna die. You're just like, make sure that you get fucking Kazuichi's ability. Wait, no, that's the second game.
Kazuichi.
Whatever.
You know, it's funny. I just remembered something while we were mentioning this about. Here's a really good example of video games as an experience. Is our boy Jackson. He you know, and a trigger warning for Logan. This is about Corpse Party.
Oh no! Oh God!
So there's a good example, because Corpse Party, although I love the first game to the ends of this earth, it's not like by any means a AAA title, or even a title that maybe deserves much recognition.
In my opinion, is garbage. But you know, that's just me because I got stuck in one spot.
You also didn't make it past like the first hour of the game. But
okay.
No, hold on.
We're gonna talk about this in a second here. We're gonna talk about this.
But so Jackson, I don't know why, but Jackson also got into Corpse Party after I did.
Him and his brother.
But what he did with it, yeah. So what he did with it is him and his brother would put it up on the TV, sit down, and play it. They like binged the games. I'm pretty sure they would like play it together in the dark, which Corpse Party is like it's a spooky game. So it's fun to play in the dark, but they would sit on the couch, play it in the dark, and like Corpse Party on its own, like I also played it in the dark, you know, and I had a lot of fun with it, and the dark definitely amplifies it. But I think because he played it with his brother, and like they just had such a jolly old time sitting on the couch, getting like real scared together. Because like if you were alone, you probably might get a little, spooked at times, but like them on the couch, like they purposefully like amplified their emotions being together and stuff. And so then they would sit on the couch and just be like, oh,
It was like
like
us playing PT. To where I had to,
yeah.
where I bitched out and gave you the controller because I was like, no, fuck this game. And
Oh,
everybody else
it's like-
behind us who had already played it were like, turn around. I'm like, I'm not turning around, fight me.
And they like made up nicknames for all the characters, and they would like kind of do like the Game Grumps do and make up like backstories that don't exist.
That's
know.
what I think is important, is playing these kind of games with somebody else too. Like,
Fun. And
yeah.
Jack, I would have left him in there.
Now, going with my experience with it, and I think again this also makes games an experience. Bad experiences are a thing too. I repeated one part in that game, I want to say 10 times, because the game doesn't stop you if you don't pick up the item you need to progress.
Or rather, the most important part of that is that it allows you. There's like an item you need. Otherwise, you'll just like it's not a point and click game, but it's not very far from it. And like you need an item to progress past a certain point, but it is possible to miss getting that item, which is something that Ace Attorney and Danganronpa don't allow. But in Corpse Party, it is possible to not pick up the item and to progress through the game, and it even lets you save in between. And then you like get to the part where you need the item, and if you don't have it, then you can't progress, and then you have to like either just start over or go back to a save file that saved before that part where the item was.
So I screamed a lot. I screamed a lot.
By the way, Corpse Party, I'm not entirely sure of the version, at least, that is like the official version, but it started as it was like a game jam type of thing, like a 48-hour game thing.
And I'll give it credit. It's like, for what it is, cool. The story's probably great. I just got to that point where I didn't have the item, saved over it.
It ain't that great, but
I got to the point where I got that. I didn't get an item. I saved the game, and I had to repeat the failure over and over and over, because the game doesn't even hint at you that like maybe you missed an item. It's just kind of like, you fucked up, have fun. You're like, what do I do? I don't know. It's
yeah. No, and that's not the only time it does that. I had to replay the entire final chapter because there's like 5 items you need.
I remember you telling me about one point where like you have to like, you could do that and then you get stuck in the game over like sequence, which is a good like, what do you say, like 5-minute sequence?
Oh, it's not 5 minutes, but it's so long.
Like you get stuck in like a good probably 2 minutes, maybe a minute, 2 minutes, something like that. You get stuck in
it's like it's not that, it's that there's like, if you like run around, then sometimes there's like ghosts that are also running around, and if you get caught by one, they'll like kill you, but they'll catch you, and then this like cinematic plays out where they stab you to death, and it takes like a minute and a half each time they stab you to death. So
you have to watch that, and I don't have time for that shit. You can't skip it.
No, you can't, because it was on the PSP. We didn't do that.
They're screaming because it's garbage. I think I think we should take a quick break here, like maybe 5 minutes or so.
All right.
Okay.
Just grab some water, go to the bathroom. Gotta do so.
All right.
We will be right back. All right, and we're back.
Hoi, 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 hoi.
Great.
Scott,
Awesome.
Scott, we specifically asked you to not make that noise when we were back.
Well, we were muted. That's exactly the question. That's the thing we said. But so it's like I feel like I had another thing as an example, but I already forgot what it was. Which is great, wonderful, awesome.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What did we all think of our Left 4 Dead 2 days? Because we were all involved in that, I think, right?
Probably some of like just thinking back on it and maybe not like actually during the time. I mean, being honest and like actually thinking and getting to a real thing here, I was probably depressed at the time, being completely honest. Like actual clinical depression, and I think those were probably some of the times that I was the happiest at those moments. And I think because of while it's, it's kind of crazy thinking, you talk to people who live their, I guess, quote unquote normal lives and have real world friends and stuff like that. Like, you talk to people like that and you say, I play games online, and they're like, what do you mean? It's like, how could you have fun with something like that? Like that. You meet people online. In our case, I would say Paragon, Pimp Slayer, Krev, for me at least. I met the three of them through streaming on Twitch, and while I wouldn't say they're like, the best friends I've ever had, I'd still consider them all friends. Because I play games with them, I talk to them, I have interactions with them that I would say I find fun. This is weird. This seems to derail a little bit, but it makes sense. But
Yeah,
it's
I was
just
like, I just want to know if you had some fun times while we were playing the zombie game.
well, I guess what I'm saying is like you can get online, you can play with people that you know in real life, i.e. our Left 4 Dead group. I think this is kind of the point I was making. Sorry. Let me get back to that, I guess. So, we played Left 4 Dead together. What was it like? Sophomore, junior, and senior year, basically.
I joined like at the end of junior year.
So then it was probably just junior year, honestly. But we'd get together, we'd play Left 4 Dead, we'd mod the shit out of it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, because Steam made it easy to mod games like that before a bunch of bullshit happened. And I mean, they got into some bullshit. Let's not lie. But yeah, I mean, we would get together and we'd play those games, and I think at a time that I was probably at one of my lowest points, it was a very fun and happy and joyful experience for me.
Mhm.
And I remember that because that was a good time for me. We may have been doing really stupid shit, but it was fun. It's fun, stupid shit. We still make quotes back to that stupid video we made on YouTube at one.
Like I did earlier.
How did the fire get more?
Still one of my favorite things.
It's been so many years since then, and
We're still.
I'll just remember that stupid video.
What's it been? 6 years? 7 years at this point?
I don't think 7, but
It's been a long
six,
time, though.
6 is plausible. That would have been 2012, possibly 11.
2012 would have been our junior year, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Remember, that was before I recorded anything and you recorded everything for us. I remember that much.
That's right, and I edited it and stuff. Yeah, that was also back when I was learning how to edit junk.
And you passed the torch on to me somehow.
It's funny. This is kind of derailing, but it is funny how like you nowadays, like whenever I read stuff online where it's like, oh, I self-taught myself to do this, and now or it's like, I self-taught myself coding, and now I have 50 apps on the app store. Like I self-taught myself how to speak Chinese or whatever. I'm always like, man, that's so crazy. I could never do that at this point in my life. And then I'm like, well, hang on. I self-taught myself how to edit videos, and then I was like, sometimes it's really easy to convince yourselves you can't do things when you've already done them.
Yeah, I self-taught myself how to play guitar, and I sit there and I'm like, well, and I'm like, I can actually play it. Like, I don't know why I sit there and tell myself I can't. I can't play anything super impressive, I guess. Like, I can't play in like rock star levels of guitar, but like I can still play music on a guitar. I can still play decent, songs and sounds and stuff. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's just it's one of those things. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Mm-hmm. Just a random anecdote.
Taylor, what were your feelings about the whole?
What are your transferable skills, Taylor?
Oh, that's not what I meant.
What, from Left 4 Dead?
No, I meant what were
sure.
your feelings from Left 4 Dead?
I don't really remember. I don't think I was as involved in the Left 4 Dead thing as the rest of you.
Maybe you were.
Yeah.
What did Taylor like really? You know what? I think the thing that we started doing with Taylor the most was League.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
Because I remember only knowing you from school, and then we got into League and found out you were an angry boy.
Yeah.
I will say with League,
Angry boy.
I never knew what the phrase blood, like my blood is boiling, meant until I played League. And I remember after one match, I'm like, under my skin feels hot because of how angry I am. And I'm like, I think I understand this now. So yeah, that's it. Oh god, that was a game. But maybe I guess we didn't play Left 4 Dead with Taylor.
I have played Left 4 Dead with you guys. I just wasn't whatever major social event this was.
You weren't part of the fun times of Left 4 Dead with our shitty, horrible videos that we made.
Mm-hmm.
What a wonderful time that was.
Yeah, you fucking nerds.
Yeah, you're right. But I think that was just a good time for not being a depressed boy anymore. So that was one of my big reasons for enjoying that so much. Trying to think, so we did that. Is there any other games that we like collectively played together? I think
Minecraft obviously was a big one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we could consider League an experience, just an experience of tons of anger and me possibly having made somebody mad who would have never been mad in the first place, being Austin. Or sorry, severing a friendship before it could have ever happened because he was a toxic person and I was not ready.
Nah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Get it. Everyone has things that make them angry.
That's fair. Yeah, that's true. You can say something else.
League was we got like dangerously deep into League.
Yeah, we played. We played
the only thing we played.
We played at least 2 matches every night from probably like senior year until sophomore year of college.
And then I think it maybe
Overwatch
probably slowed down. I think it didn't slow down when I went to Japan.
Yes.
I think so.
It slowed down a little bit.
It slowed down when you went to Japan, and then after you came back, we played a little bit more, and then Overwatch happened. And once Overwatch happened, everybody dropped it, and it was great. It was beautiful.
We were finally free.
We were finally freed from that horrible monstrosity. Yeah.
And now we're doing it again.
I mean, we're not that bad with Overwatch though, if you think about it. Like,
we're all busy. We're all pretty up in the upper echelons of college, except you. And
what do you mean, except me?
Wow, fucking throwing some shade here, Scott.
It's fine. I'm only like second year, third year, junior. It's fine. I'm gonna graduate hopefully next year.
Wait, isn't a junior for 3 years or?
Anyways, we don't need to go over the statistics of it. Like, bruh, what the important thing is, by the end of this semester, I'm going to be a senior, and I'm gonna basically just have a 30 hours left of college, and then I can leave, and I can be free. I'm ready. But
I'm not. I'm scared. Academia is a warm, friendly place. I'm in grad school now.
I was gonna say you went back.
And then medical school after that, probably. So I'll have a career by the time I'm 30.
Oh, great! That sounds awful. Just
It
straight
does.
up awful.
I mean, it's only like 2 years off of how it normally would be going to school. Anyways,
Not to get into that shit again. Um, although okay, so since you mentioned it was earlier, now I have to just like I have to go with this whole thing of God damn did I love that fucking oh what the hell was it called? The Pajama Sam series and the Freddy Fish series. No, we're going back to this. You brought it up.
Okay.
It's happening now because
There
that
we
was an
go.
experience for me. No, I'm serious. Like I don't remember
Okay.
how I got a hold of the games. I don't remember how it happened, but you know, I feel like by mid 2000s every like middle class family probably had a PC in their home. May not have been a good PC, but they had one usually. So I
Mhm.
guess somebody could do their taxes or some shit. But I remember that we had like a bunch of educational games, and then we had Bubsy in the airport. Not Bubsy. What the hell was it called? They're all the like
What?
humongous entertainment games. Was I think the name?
Because that was like Pajama Sam, Freddy Fish. Was it Putt Putt the car? Was that the
Yes,
same?
I loved Putt Putt.
Oh God.
Don't sit here and oh god, like you think you're better than me.
I you know, in Spy Fox.
I never played Spy Fox.
I think I played the demo for one
I remember
and was
being
really
interested in
confused by it.
Spy Fox, but yeah, never I just never played.
Mhm.
I just remember playing Freddy Fish specifically and Pajama Sam specifically because I had Thunder and Lightning were so frightening, and that
Mhm.
game was like a just a beautiful like it's just a beautiful game of like teaching kids how games work. Because again, my dad probably showed me too much, and now he hates the fact that I play games. But whatever.
Mhm.
So yeah, I remember you know like as a kid you get stuck on that shit. You get like you find a puzzle and you're like, how the fuck does this puzzle work? Now as an adult, I'm like, wow, as a fucking stupid ass little kid, but like as a kid you're like okay so I'm in this giant world and I feel like it's kind of the same with some games now but it's like you walk up to one place and it's like oh yes we need this one item to fix this one thing and I'm like oh okay I remember where that item was hang on let me go back and get it you go back to that place and it's like all right well in order to get this you have to pay me 3 coins and you're like oh shit how do I get coins and you go find a coin or 2 coins or whatever and you get the coins come back and you shove the coins at the person, they give you the item and you get it, and it's just this feeling of completion, and it's just I don't know, like it's probably
Mhm.
that whole thing that like why they keep getting you with gambling. They're like, yes, we're just gonna appeal to your dopamine, and you're like, ah, yes, dopamine. I like that
Yes.
feeling.
You heard it here first, folks. Pajama Sam teaches your children to feel joy and accomplishment partaking in our horrible capitalist trading society.
I mean, it's kind of true. Like you don't get very
Yeah.
far, but yeah, it's just like it was such a fun accomplishment feeling. And like I don't know, I loved that. I loved that point of things. So I don't know. I just that game was great. I
Hmm.
definitely enjoyed it. Um.
I played Junkbot.
Well, aren't you a fancy lad?
Oh yeah,
It
Junk.
was like
Was that the game you posted the other day in the Discord?
yeah, it was a it was a Lego Flash game where basically like it was the story was there's a trash robot who just wants to eat trash, and then one day he runs out of trash, and so he goes to work for a company that has a lot of trash, and
And he's like, I'm
yeah,
gonna eat it.
basically like the levels were there would be like Lego bricks and the junk bot would just walk on his own so like you didn't control him he would just walk it was 2D so he would like walk from left to right and then like if he hit something that he couldn't walk over he would turn and go back the other way and you were just supposed to place bricks and like make paths for him to get to the trash. Um, but it was hard because you couldn't make him stop unless you like trapped him with the bricks. So sometimes there'd be like hazards and stuff that you'd have to navigate around somehow. But a lot of fun. It had a sequel too, where Junkbot discovers that his coworkers are involved in some shady stuff, and he goes undercover.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's what I play. But I there's a lot of good Flash games out there.
I just realized like childhood games are like one of those things. I think I had this conversation with Zach the other day. I don't remember if anybody else was on the call, but like I remember, so like I don't know what you had to do in like elementary school when you got in trouble, but we had to move cards. And I remember, like, I never got in trouble much as a kid, so moving cards was, like, probably one of the most detrimental thing to me as a kid. So, I remember there was 2 times in, like, kindergarten, 1st grade, somewhere around that time, that I had to move my card. One time was because my substitute teacher was an awful human being, and the second time was because me and another kid were were playing a game, and it was probably one of those like Reading Rabbit games. I don't know if anybody else played them. I don't know if they were even called Reading Rabbit, but like there were these like games that were supposed to teach you reading, and neither one of us wanted to stop, so we just continued playing the game. And the teacher was like, "Excuse," like they're like, "Boys, you need to stop." And we're like, "No, we're gonna continue playing this." And like, "You need to stop." We're like, "No," like go move your card. And I was like, "Oh fuck."
And for anyone who's not part of our specific like school system, moving cards was like you had like everyone had like their name up on like a board, and there was like little pockets of cards, and there were like warning cards, and if you moved so many, you had to certain punishments and stuff, or you had to like go to the office and whatnot.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just a way to keep track of in classroom infractions, as it were.
yeah, I think ours were like you had like the green area, the yellow area, the red area, and if you went beyond the red area, you were just fucked.
Yeah.
I remember as a small child just like thinking of what the fuck happened when you were like when you went past the red area. I think for me, I like my stupid kid brain was like, man, did they just like throw away your card and you just stop existing?
Yeah, you don't notice it because you're a kid, but they go through a ritual in which they bind your soul to the card. If they destroy the card, then you are also destroyed.
No.
The rule of sympathy, I believe it's called.
Yeah, I just I will say the other time was because we had a substitute teacher. She called us up like one table at a time to go get our stuff, and I picked up my stuff, forgot my jacket, and stood up out of term. And she was like, "Move your card," and I was like, "My dad told me to get that jacket. Just move your card." I'm like, "Damn it!" I was like, I was stressed because my thought process was either I get in trouble with the teacher or I get in trouble with my dad, and I was like, I'm gonna risk it. I'd rather get in trouble with the teacher. It's like, Dad wasn't even that harsh of a person. I just didn't want to be yelled at. I was happier being yelled at by a teacher than I was being yelled at by my father. Now this age, I'm just realizing that, you know, being yelled at by my father is just naturally how our family communicates. So, yay, healthy family.
A lot of yelling in Logan's household.
It seems bad, but it's really not as bad as it seems to other people. Probably in the household, we kind of understand.
Okay,
I don't know.
Yeah. So this is a video game podcast, not a how the American school system works podcast.
Hi, welcome to the Flask Full of Failure podcast. We sometimes talk about games if we feel like it, really.
Most of the time we don't.
I think the other thing, like since we were like specifically focusing on like the idea of games as an experience, is that like I can't tell you how many times it is that like Scott comes to me and goes, "Logan, I feel like you would remember this game," and I was like, "What?" There are a lot of times that I feel like you come to me and you're like, "I feel like you would know this, like you would remember this game, like this is a game that's definitely something that you would enjoy," which, to be fair, isn't always like a thing that I know, but you know, you find.
Well, or like it's just there's just like a certain category of games that I'm like, you know, Logan seems to be in like the niche group of people that were somehow exposed to this as a child.
Yeah, but that's one of those things that I feel like is very important about just gaming communities in general. Is like when you find someone who has happened to also see that game that you saw when you were like 10 and remember really vividly, but nobody else other than you remembers it, and that one other person's like, oh yeah, shit, that was a fun game. You're like, dude, and then you have this moment. It's a beautiful moment. Like I said, just like, I don't know, have any of you ever had a conversation about games? Like, okay, Taylor, I feel like I already know your answer on this one, but
Okay.
have you ever had a conversation with somebody who had like no real interest in video games about video games and kind of made them realize like the power or the fun or the joy behind a video game?
The power.
The power.
Bruh.
I never made them realize it.
I felt like Taylor's answer would be no because I don't talk to people about video games.
Hey, now. I mean, I got pure respectable, you know? Can't be talking about video games.
That's that almost exactly what I expected you to say. Honestly.
The problem. I mean, I've definitely had conversations in which, like, I don't know, I don't want to harp on the games or art drum too much, but, you know, I like to try and to encourage people to think about, like, what it is about video games that makes them not think of it as a proper, like, uh,
Art form?
medium, I
Yeah.
suppose, compared to like a book or a movie, because it's like, oh, video games are all stupid point shooty bang bangs, and it's like, well, what is 90% of movies? Does that mean that
And-
fucking I don't want to drop fucking Citizen Kane here, but like, does that mean the ones that are art are not so just because there are stupid ones that no one cares about? It's like you just always see the little arcadey video games that don't matter very much, but then you know you play Shadow of the Colossus or something. It's like, oh, this is basically a moving painting.
A grand scale game, yeah.
Mhm.
I don't, because it's like I said, I was talking to one of my friends about it recently, and like she was like, I don't like games, and I was like, okay, but like, what is it about games you don't like? And she was like, I don't like the fighting part, and I was like, not every game is a fighting game. Like, every game is different, and that was kind of the point that we came to, is that like I expressed to her how games were, like, you know, there's like stuff like Animal Crossing to where you make a village, you find villagers, you find all these people who are, you know, these little villagers that come to live with you. You talk to them, you make a little like town. It's fun. It's not your traditional like Call of Duty, I'm shooting people up kind of thing. It's
Yeah, and you spend 90% of your time trying to think of ways to shoot everyone up, but you can't because it's Animal Crossing, because everyone's a shithead.
you know, you don't want to shoot everybody. You just want to shoot Tom Nook and be like, I don't want this dead anymore, please.
No.
And then you realize that you're dead in real life, and you're like, shit.
It's like Tom Nook is a metaphor for something.
Yeah, your tragic life that you're about to live.
Mhm.
Right. But buying a home sucks. Don't do it, kids. But yeah, it's just one of those situations, and it's like I was talking to her about it, and I was like, I feel like it's the same thing with movies and stuff too. Is that I feel like you can't just say I don't like movies unless you just really, really actually do despise movies. But in this case, it's more of like um you know, everybody has their genre they like. Some people like romantic comedies, some people like action movies, some people like comedy movies. But like, you can't just say I hate movies and like generalize everything in the movies. Games are not all. I think people just think Call of Duty when they're like video games.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of games do follow that mold just because the whole like conceit of a game is that and what makes it different from like a book or a movie is because you have what is the word? You have I always forget. Like you can affect things in it. I always forget the specific word for it, but that you have to impart some sort of your will into it, and it's just violence happens to be the most common way to go about that, which is why a lot of games focus on violence and shooting and guns. So yeah, it's like violence is something that a game does not necessarily need to be. It's just that most commonly use it as a means to an end.
It's kind of like peer-to-peer sharing stuff, like torrenting. It's like the technology itself, torrents are not necessarily the technology itself is not illegal, but like illegal activities are commonly conducted across it because it's like lends itself well to doing that. It's kind of a similar situation where like
Right.
it's like gas stations, the establishment don't have to be sketchy as hell, but they generally are.
Generally might not be right, but there are definitely like the ones like I don't know if you like have you been to a QT before?
Yeah.
They are like high end gas stations. Like you walk in there and you're like, this isn't like some shady like I'm gonna get shot kind of gas station. This is quality kind of thing. I don't know.
I meant like the whole thing, so like outside as well. But
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
QTs like that. I don't know. I haven't been to very many QTs. I think I maybe, but
I like them because they got like a lot of choices and stuff.
well, yeah, and you also have to think like, what are normies going to be exposed to the most? It's whatever's going to be on TV, probably, right?
Scott, you can't just use that word.
And sure, again, and it's our word.
Oh, okay.
And it's what's going to be on TV or whatever, the ads and stuff, and what's advertised the most. Usually, the big AAA titles like Battlefront or whatever.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah. And that's also just another major issue with gaming as a whole, because any sort of major game is so expensive to make that it ends up, instead of being like an artistic statement, it becomes a product, because you got to meet that bottom line, because you have 200 people and several $1 million on the line here, which is frustrating, and why I like a lot of indie games more, because they have like the ability to not worry about that so much. They still have to make money, obviously, and have appeal, but they don't have to meet the lowest common denominator to make those numbers back.
Right. Yeah, I just hate seeing something that like, and it's like, I do want to talk about esports in a future episode, but like I do kind of want to go into the esports thing off of like what we're talking about with this, is that it's like, Scott and I have had this conversation before. The fact that people are just like so anti esports right now because they're like, why would you want to watch somebody else play the game? And I'm like, why would you want to watch somebody else play football? Why would you want to watch somebody else play baseball? It's like, why would you not want to watch the best of the best compete in that kind of situation? Like, they're in the place that they are for a reason. It's not just it's not just a situation of it being like, we threw some random kids in together to fight each other in this game. It's like you've got people who are really skilled at what they do fighting each other. And even talking to my boss, who's this big like CrossFit guy and like definitely not the kind of person who I would think would be supportive of esports, I mentioned something about esports to him. He was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad that like, I think that he was saying it specifically to me, but he was like, I'm glad that you have something kind of like that to like follow. And I'm like, awesome. Somebody else who normally would not understand this understands this now. I think that's one of my big moments of like really understanding, like, seeing it cross a barrier of just being, games are games kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of stuck on trying to figure out what the word I was trying to use earlier. The fucking ability to affect things. The
influence?
Not influence. It's like, it doesn't matter.
It's not important, but yeah, I don't know. I think I could just I think since we seem to be dying down on the whole topic in general, I think
Mhm.
I want to go over like one last little bit of just like some quick little news tidbits of one, the Switch has a shit ton of things being released for it soon. Um, on top of not only getting the Mario Tennis, Darkest Dungeon, and Dark Souls like releases announced for it, it's also getting that new Lobo thing or Labo, whatever the hell it's called. Which
Lobo.
I
You forgot the world ends with you, the most important
sorry,
game out of
yes, yeah, you're right. But so the Switch is getting a shit tons of games, which I love. I just love. It's amazing to me to see like I think the Switch has been like an outstanding success.
Someone just jumped in the swimming pool outside my apartment.
Oh, did they seem to have fun?
I don't know. I just heard a splash. Either that or they threw a trash can into it again.
Oh no,
And they're like these huge cast iron, like 50-pound trash cans.
that's too much.
Yeah, especially to be at the bottom of a swimming pool.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, did anybody have anything to add to that, or just like did I just throw that out there for no reason?
Yeah, no reason.
Awesome, great.
I like the cardboard. It's really capitalizing on the versatility of the Switch. It's not like with the Wii where it's like they come out with like one accessory that you can put the Wiimote in that's a fishing rod and make one game for it, and then that's the end of it. It's like, all right, cardboard is cheap, and
And I think
it's easy to do basically anything with. This was all foretold in Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. We knew this was coming.
stop.
That game was all about papercraft.
I think I think what's
Luigi
also
things.
also important about it is like the fact that like you get to build your own, which I think is a really cool part about it. Like the fact that I get to build my own like my own little thing to play with. Like I don't know, that seems kind of cool to me. Also, I have put in the stream. I put the picture that Scott sent us earlier. I have never been so excited about cardboard in my entire life, you guys. Oh, Scott, I don't know if you noticed, but did you notice that the date is the day that this Labo is being released?
Wait, today?
No, the date on that picture you sent is the date Labo is being released.
Wow.
Like this is actually going farther in depth than you probably thought it was. It's yeah, because it's being released on April 20th. And
the weed day.
Yeah, that's what I laughed about that earlier.
What if I would not be surprised if on that day we just see tons of like pictures of blunts being rolled in the Labo cardboard.
Oh, of course. Yep, I would not be surprised.
I love games that like no matter how much they like that the world moves on and leaves them behind, they always just find a way to keep coming back. Persona 4 seems to be one of those. I think there's a line in it that applies to any situation.
I mean, the Persona 5 got such a fucking like big following this year. It was like it was last year that came out, right? I'm pretty sure
it came out in 2016 technically.
Oh.
So, well, it was like it was like at the end of 2016, I think. Let me see. And even then, it came out sooner in Japan, but yeah.
Yeah, I just know that it was on a lot of people's like top 10 games for 2017 kind of deal. So
yeah. Oh no, it was. Oh no, it was last year. It was April of last year.
Okay, yeah. So
I got confused for some reason. I thought that summer break was winter break. So
It's much
Opposites,
longer.
but yeah.
Quite the opposite, actually. Persona 5. We should just spend a whole episode me talking about Persona 5.
I mean, I'd love to
Please
play it. I
don't.
just don't have the fucking time.
Yeah,
That's the
it
main
is an
issue.
egregiously long game.
Like it's one of the games that I would really love to play. It's just right now still being in school and stuff. I don't have as much time for games. I'm trying my damnedest to beat fucking Danganronpa right now.
That is highest priority.
Yeah, I was actually, funny enough, I was watching I was on like just browsing through Twitch stuff earlier and was watching through it, and they were talking about their video game awards, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Danganronpa V3 definitely got like the music award for the year," and I was like, "Wait, what?"
Oh,
Like, hang on a second, did you guys just talk
Yeah,
about
man.
Danganronpa? I was like, I'm not dreaming. I'm not having a fever dream. Am I like this is a really thing, like a real thing that's happening right now? Am I going crazy?
mhm.
But what were you
Very
gonna say?
loud keyboard typing.
Sorry.
Yeah, to make sure.
Oh yeah. In other news, the word I was looking for was agency. Video games are unique because they give you agency over their narrative, the ability to the action or intervention, especially such as to produce a particular effect. Anyways, that was making me angry because literally every sort of definition that I thought would have the word I was looking for did not. And then it just popped in my head eventually. But yeah, anyways, that little side story has now been resolved. The Taylor consults a dictionary arc of this particular anime of our lives.
He pulled out like just an entire dictionary just to look up.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Dark Souls coming out for the Switch? Like, not that you have a Switch, but just like, in general, your opinions on it.
Me?
Taylor, sorry.
Huh.
Okay.
Taylor's a fan of Dark Souls. That's why I ask.
I don't know why they're putting
That's why I
Dark
was
Souls.
confused.
I don't know why they're putting Dark Souls on a baby system for babies, but you know.
Fuck, do you mean a baby system for
that
babies?
That was the sound of Logan being angry. Was that little thud there?
No,
That's exactly what it
Logan's,
was.
like his thread of sanity snapping, which is apparently a guitar string of sanity.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it on whatever system you want it to. I don't really care too much.
And okay, so I'll see if Scott like justifies me on this.
Also, when you said Dark Souls, did you mean Darkest Dungeon?
They're both coming
Or is
out.
Dark Souls okay?
Darkest Dungeon is already out on the Switch. Dark Souls.
That one makes a lot of sense.
Dark Souls is coming out for the Switch. The remastered version of Dark Souls is coming out for the Switch in, I think, May of this year, which I'm excited about. Like,
I am somewhat apprehensive of a remake of the original Dark Souls. I don't know how much of a remake it's going to be.
It's a remaster, is what it says.
Yeah.
So
it might just be the same game, but you know, graphics polished, not as fucky. I was just afraid that they would like rebalance it for like Dark Souls 3 gameplay, which would be interesting, but a very different game.
Yeah. I don't know, like I feel like Scott can like also, I don't know, attest to this. I don't know if he would.
Can he?
I will see. One of the biggest things that I've realized about the Switch recently, of like why I absolutely fucking love it as a system, is because the fact that like the whole point behind it obviously was the fact that it is a portable console as well as being a console. And like while originally that had no fucking appeal to me, now that I'm gonna be like stuck on campus for 4 hours a couple of days a week, I'm like, bringing my Switch on campus is gonna be a good thing. Now I'm thinking Dark Souls coming out, I'm like, Dark Souls is coming out, so now I can play Dark Souls just like sitting around on campus on my little portable device.
Mm-hmm.
You know what my favorite part of the Switch is?
Hmm.
It's the only system in existence that I've found, portable system, that has all the ports and all the openings in the best position on the device.
Bottom.
No, the only port on the bottom is the is the port that needs to be on the bottom just for its functionality. But the volume buttons, the vent for the fan, the headphone jack, they're all on the top, so that when you have those things plugged in, you don't have to like jam it into your crotch while you're playing it.
I also just remembered that I need to get
It's
new
beautiful.
memory card for that.
I got one at Black Friday. It's 128 gigabytes, and there's nothing on it.
Yeah, I have basically moved to the side of things of being like digital download is like better than trying to get cartridges at this point, because like fuck trying to get cartridges.
I can't stop myself from. I just like collect and.
I want to own the. That's the thing though. It's like it's the collector in me versus the non-collector in me. Like, it's much more practical to just download everything. But the collector in me is like, just get the fucking game. Like, get it on a fucking card so that you can have cards now. And I'm like, But yeah, so Switch is getting a lot of games this time around. I'm excited because I can't wait to play. I'm probably gonna buy Darkest Dungeon soon because that'd probably be a good thing for me to like actually learn how to play first off, and second off, just something that would be kind of, I think, interesting to like between during my study breaks whenever I'm like dying and rotting in the library, I can just play Darkest Dungeon instead. That'll be nice.
So yeah, that's...
Was there any other news that anybody else had that you just have, like just something small and quick?
Play Persona 5 and Danganronpa V3.
No. Play the entire series of Danganronpa. I marathoned it in like.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, I marathoned it in like 3 days. Or I marathoned the first game in like 3 days. It was bad. Don't do that.
They don't take an incredibly long amount of time. Just play the 3 games. There are technically 4 games in existence. One of them is not necessarily necessary to play unless you love everything. Same thing with the Animu, is not necessary to watch, but it is cool.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's great.
It is a good game. It's a good series. It's a lot of fun. The second game's weird so far.
Yeah.
This is definitely a good game. Get out there, and if you have a Switch, get your hands on Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because that game's fun as shit. So Scott, get on that shit.
Couple other noteworthy games that are on/are coming to on the Switch.
On.
Enter the Gungeon is on the Switch, I think.
Ooh.
Enter the Gungeon's fun. Isaac, of course.
Oh,
yes. Those are like 2 really good like airplane games, or just like.
Or if you're stuck in a library, like I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
Good games for that.
I don't know if I'd ever want to play Binding of Isaac in a public space.
I don't give enough of a shit, honestly.
If you look at it from an angle, it's not that bad.
It's like, is that a naked child shooting at piles of poop?
No.
Don't worry about it, bruh.
I don't know when this is happening, but Portal Bridge Builder.
It's already done. It's already out.
It's out, but it's not on the Switch yet.
Oh.
But it said early 2018, so maybe soon. Battery 20%. Also, the Mario Rabbids game.
It's a lot of fun.
It's actually not a monstrosity.
Yeah. I will say the way Taylor played it with Mitchell, and the way we played it is actually a lot more fun than playing it by yourself. Basically, what we did is we just passed the controller, and every one of us took a control of a different character. So like, I think I took control of Mario, you took control of Rabbid Luigi, and Mitchell took control of
Rabbid Peach.
Of Rabbid Peach, and so.
And then I took over of actual Luigi when he showed up.
Yeah.
I need to unlock everyone else. Also, I believe all the Jackbox games are on the Switch. Go get them. Um, Mario Odyssey.
Oh hell yeah, I beat that the other day. Oh, such a good game. Talk about the fucking experience. Like if you want some nostalgia just shoved up your butt, just go get that game. Like if you played Mario 64, go play that game.
Yes, it's in the same Mario 64, Galaxy, Sunshine. It's in that category. Um, Mario Sunshine 2.
Oh my god.
If I say it on stream, it'll happen.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's how that's gonna work. Uh,
Yeah. I don't remember if anything else. The
Oh,
world ends with you.
Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild. Yeah, I looked in chat real fast and Pimp Slayer said Breath of the Wild. I was like, oh yeah, no, yeah, definitely Breath of the Wild. Yeah, like I mean,
Breath of the Wild. The world ends with you. It's where it's at. It's the remake, and they're adding new content.
I'll fucking fight.
It's gonna be great. It's great if you like fashion. If you like,
you can hear the hook coming in from stage right, just about to pull Sky off.
Logan of all people would like it because it revolves entirely around the like pins that he used to put on his lanyard.
Oh hell yeah! Except for we've upgraded from pins. Well, I mean, we haven't upgraded. We've just moved from buttons to pins now. So instead of it being buttons, it's now lapel pins. So, yeah. We hit that shit, bruh. But yeah, but Breath of the Wild is another one. Like I said, like I can't consider it my favorite Legend of Zelda game, but like definitely it's such a fantastic, like if you just want to go around and explore a world for a while and like cry a little bit from like fear, not because of sadness, just being like walking up and being like, oh shit, there's a guardian over there, and then being like, that thing's gonna fuck me up, and then running the other way, and then there's another guardian behind you. It's a great time to cry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not crying from any sort of like actual emotion because of the story or the game, because as Logan established earlier, Breath of the Wild is vastly to Skyward Sword. Which is an opinion I'm sure everyone shares.
I love Skyward Sword. I could
start again. You ready?
I did. I could probably do an entire like just one of these like hour and a half. I could probably like we talk about like, you know, thesis statements and or thesis papers and stuff in schools and stuff. Like I could probably write a thesis paper about why Skyward Sword is one of the best Zelda games ever. That's just, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd do it. Who cares? Fuck it. I would go for it. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that we've done a little advertisement for the Nintendo Switch here, Shigeru Miyamoto will be handing me my check, despite me not contributing to that conversation at all.
Man, I wish that I would get like just a check. Like, did you pimp out the Switch? Like, yes, this is one of like my favorite systems right now.
And then you get a little check signed M. Shiggy.
M. Shiggy.
I seriously, Scott, though, I think like because you like the gacha games, I feel like you would have like some love for the just like you collect shit in it. Like that whole quality of like you get core crystals for beating the shit out of enough people, and you're like, ah yes, I'm gonna bind this core crystal to me real fast, and you're like, yes, what weapon do I get out of this? Then you get like people weapons.
What are you talking about?
Xenoblade Chronicles 2?
Oh. I don't play gacha games for the gacha, I play it for the waifus.
Yeah, you get waifus. And sometimes husbandos.
Everything.
You also get husbandos sometimes.
Ooh,
You get both. Also, you get kitties occasionally. It's great. Like you never know what you're gonna get. Sometimes you're like, I got a waifu. Other times you're like, I got a kitty. Other times you're like, I got a husband. Who cares? I'm happy now.
It's a JPEG of my waifu. $1,000, well spent.
Yes. And maybe we'll get popular enough to get ProZD on here one day. Probably never happening.
We've
He paid off the creator of Final Fantasies, so he has some connections.
clearly.
That's for all you viewers. Please make us popular enough so that I can get Songwan on here, please. I need that in my life.
It's Sungwon.
Songwan, sorry. Sangwang.
Such win.
You said his name wrong. Now Senpai will never notice us.
Damn it. I'm
Anyways.
sad now.
Okay. Now we're showing other creators, so I don't know if it's now time to stop.
I'm. Is it ever time to stop? Really?
The time to stop was like half an hour ago.
You said shelling other creators, and I'm like, shit. I really want to put a Filthy Frank thing now.
No,
No. We need to stop. I'm sorry. It's
watch
time.
us. Do not watch those other people.
It's time to stop.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. In like 2 weeks, we'll be doing this again. I actually set up a schedule on the stream page, so if you just look down there, you can see it. So, yeah, thanks everybody.
I don't know if I can make that schedule.
Yeah.
What if I have a hot date?
I mean, we can reschedule it then. We talked about this.
Oh, I see.
We still haven't stopped, so if anybody else wants to say bye, you can say bye now.
Okay,
I don't want
bye.
to.
That's cool.
Wow, Scott. Rude.